I'll tell you one thing, guys. Last night's game between the Falcons and the Ravens certainly epitomized the thrill of victory and agony of defeat, all in about the final 90 seconds of real game time in that contest. But hey, what can you say? It was one of those things, you know. 2 nights ago, had a 10-dime play on Miami of Ohio, blows a big second-half lead, tie game. They pick off a pass on Bowling Green's final possession. They march down the field. They get the game-winning field goal. I bought the half-point insurance, and laying 2.5 or 3, thanks to that half point, we get the win because Miami of Ohio wins it by a field goal. Last night, looks like it was going to be a second straight 10-dime winner and 5th out of 7 over the past week and a half, with the Ravens coming back to score with a minute to go. But Matt Millen had to open up his big mouth on TV, had to make mention out of the fact that perhaps the Ravens scored too frequently, even though Joe Theismann vehemently objected. It proved to be true, didn't it? Because Atlanta took advantage of what I told you even in my analysis yesterday. You know, the Ravens defense really gets by on its reputation from past years. It hasn't been a dominant stop unit for a couple of years. You can definitely carve them up, and Matt Ryan certainly did. Certainly did not help or hurt their cause, the Falcons' cause, thanks to that costly pass interference penalty as well. So, hey, take a split with the 10-dimers. As I said, 5 out of 7 10-dimers in the bank over the past week in college and pro football. Can I really complain about that? I don't think so. Hey, listen, tonight, tons and tons of college basketball on tap. You know I'm a big proponent that in the first few weeks of the season of coming out with plays, because that's truly the only time you have the advantage over the odds makers, and it's especially true in non-conference action in college basketball, where that advantage really rolls on even further. I would say at least the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season, and sometimes, depending on the team and depending on the conference, even through these teams' first 2 couple of conference games as well. It takes a while for incoming freshmen, players who didn't see significant action last year that are now being counted on to contribute, JUCO transfers and the like, to get acclimated, to develop cohesiveness on the floor. And trust me, if it's hard for me as a professional sports handicapper, you can imagine it's just as hard for the odds makers to really know all the personnel out there for all these teams. Consequently, you have a lot of bad numbers, a lot of soft lines, especially in the season. Now, one such game tonight, and I'm coming out all gusto with this play, guys. I mean, I'm going for it. First 15-dime release of the college basketball season, I had 4 of them. 4 of them last year, the entire season. Hit 3 out of 4. These are the same 15-dime plays. And in the NBA, I've won 6 out of 8 the past 2 years. Had my first one back on November 2nd, a couple of weeks ago, when I told you Miami and Minnesota would go easily over the total in the NBA, and that was a winner. And the same 15-dime play in terms of strength that I'm 27-13-2 with in the NFL over the past 3 seasons. Tonight, I've spotted what I consider a bad number, and I like this road team to roll by 15 points or more. That is your 15-dime play. Also have a 5-dime bonus tonight on your NBA contest between Washington and Charlotte. Wizards coming off a home win against Houston. Bobcats 2-6 on the season, just snapping a 3-game skid against Toronto. Those are your 2 selections I've got going tonight. Now, for your Friday freebies, let me first give you one in college football. College basketball. By the way, college football last night gave you another free winner on East Carolina outright over UAB. That one was kind of easy. 5-2 with the last 7 free picks. College football tonight, you can have both of these games. Listen, I've cashed in. I've done enough damage here in the Mid-American Conference, a conference I don't even like. I'll take a pass on the MAC game. And is there any other way other than playing Boise State against Idaho? If you want to lay 147 points, be my guest. I'll take a pass. You know what I've got going tonight. For your first pick, it's going to be a freebie in college basketball. Georgetown taking on Virginia Commonwealth. You know, Georgetown has 4 starters back, but it's going to be a totally different Hoyas team because the one starter they lost was their center, Greg Monroe, the 7th pick in the NBA draft this past summer. Consequently, instead of a team that funnels the ball down low and relies on Monroe to close the deal, this is going to be a more guard-oriented, perimeter-type team led by Austin Freeman and Chris Wright, the 2 guards who combined to average 32 points a game last season. Now, ironically, the first loss that Georgetown suffered last year came against Old Dominion. Old Dominion from the Colonial Athletic Association, one of those conferences that, you know, a mid-level tier conference. A lot of people turn their nose down at them. But, Old Dominion is the pride of this conference. Last year, they handed Georgetown their first loss of the season, a game in which Freeman and Wright, again, averaging 32 points a game last year, combined to score just 17 points in that contest, misfiring on a combined 12 of their 19 shots in that contest. Old Dominion, 27-9 last year, the Colonial champion, beat Notre Dame in the first round of the Big Dance, and then lost in round number 2 to Baylor. Nothing to be discouraged about there. This is a team that has won average 24 wins a year the past 6 years. All 6 of those seasons punching their ticket to the postseason 3 times to the Big Dance as well. They get it done with defense, guys. Not one of their 4 returning starters averaged double-digit scoring last year. But this is a team that held opponents to a conference low 57.6 points a game last year. Also a very strong rebounding team. They out-rebounded every other team in the Colonial Conference by an average of 8.1 rebounds a game. I'm going to go with Old Dominion tonight. They're playing at the, I love these names, the Constant Convocation Center, where they were 13-0. Straight up last year. So I'm going to take Old Dominion in this one in a virtual pick'em affair. Georgetown has the name. They're getting the recognition by Vegas. Most places are actually a 1-point favorite, but I'm saying to you that I think Old Dominion in a low-scoring game wins this one and is the better team in this matchup. In the NBA, I am going to go with the Indiana Pacers. In the Pacers' last game on Tuesday night, I gave them to you as a 5-dime premium play, and they absolutely destroyed the Denver Nuggets, 144-113. I think they covered the spread there by 32.5 points. I told you the Pacers in their previous 2 games had lost them both, struggled from the field, but this is a team built for shooting. That's what they do best. Jim O'Brien's team, they like to run up and down that floor. They like to put the points in, and they can do it with Danny Granger, with Mike Dunleavy. They're getting some outstanding contributions from Roy Hibbert, who's averaging 16 points a game and is 3rd in the league in blocks. And they've got Darren Collison running the show as well. So, they're taking on a Houston team that a couple of nights ago was at Washington, up 1 with 5 minutes to play, and then let Washington take that game, dropping the Rockets to 1-6 straight up, 0-4 on the road this year straight up as well. The only positive in that Washington loss is they only gave up 98 points. They entered that game having averaged an average of 112 points a game giving up. Now, of course, they're scoring 112 points a game, but when you give up the same number, there's a reason you're 1-6 on the season. Yao Ming is out again because of a sprained ankle. Listen, the biggest problem with the Rockets, it's not whether Ming is playing 24 minutes or less a game, every other game, taking off back-to-back nights, blah, blah, blah. The problem is they're missing Aaron Brooks, their starting point guard, who averaged 20 points a game last year. That leaves them starting a rookie in Smith or a career backup in Lowry, who's fighting off a bruised shoulder and isn't much of a shooter anyway. So I'm going to go, as I said, with the Pacers in here laying the points. You see this price has moved up. That's why I'm not using it as a premium play, but I still like the selection along with Old Dominion. Good luck, everybody, and I'll catch you again on Saturday.